Good afternoon and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care and Providence Holy Cross Medical Center. I'm Barbara Cochran, host today on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And our first guest this morning is Tim Traurig of Guardians.
That's correct.
How are you? It's good to see you again.
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's good to be back with you again. Like
Yes.
I said, I think I felt like I was just here a couple of weeks ago, but it was a year.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It sure does. It sure does.
So what's happening?
Well, I'll tell you, Guardians has been on a roll. You know, we've since the last time I talked to you, a lot has happened. I'll tell you just a little bit about Guardians. You know, Guardians provides support for veterans, military, law enforcement, and firefighters, men and women who are active, retired, or in reserves. And we do life together. We provide an opportunity for camaraderie, connection, support if needed. We do service projects in the community. We do events, and we keep these men and women active. It can be really tough to either retire from those from your job, or come back from deployments and get out of the military and go, what do I do? What's my purpose? So we help with that, give them a place to connect with like-minded individuals with similar backgrounds and experiences. And it works. Guys and gals really enjoy being with their brothers and sisters. I think they feel the most comfortable around those men and women who are great men and women. And we get to hear some pretty amazing stories. Not all of them are happy. Some of them can be pretty traumatic. Some of these men and women have gone through some really horrific things in their lives, whether it was in the military, law or fire, or just in life in general. Life can beat you up sometimes.
Oh, yes, it certainly can.
So we provide an opportunity for them to maybe share about some things they've never talked about before. Our population of people, veterans, military, law enforcement, and firefighters, are men and women who have developed a really special skill. And it works when you need it. And that skill is to take normal emotions, put them in a box, and then go do what you do. Whether it's as a firefighter, law, or military, you're required to do some really extraordinary things in some really unordinary circumstances where you're dealing with trauma and seeing a lot of trauma. So we have to take those emotions that would normally come up for a person and put them in a box so we can continue to do what we do and take care of the people we need to take care of. And if you live life that way and you aren't able to not do that outside of the job when you need to, bad things can happen. Rough times in marriages and relationships, and alcoholism can be high, drug abuse amongst our population of people, and it can take a toll on your life.
And you can get very depressed.
Depression, anxiety is really high amongst that population, and suicide, especially amongst our veterans. I think up to 22 a day they're talking about, with suicides amongst our veterans.
That's what I heard a few days ago. I heard that. I don't remember whether it was TV or the radio or the paper or what it was, but that's what I heard, and it's horrific. That is so sad.
And that's one of the reasons why Guardians became Guardians as a nonprofit, was to try to make a difference and stop the madness of these suicides, giving these men and women a place to connect and find support, camaraderie, and connection. And, amongst our firefighters, too, now, and law enforcement officers, there are more firefighters and law enforcement officers dying by suicide now than in the line of duty. So it's affecting these groups of people really dramatically. And we aim and are making a huge difference in trying to stop and reduce those stats, the suicides, and the lack of connection and purpose, which we find happens so often in our population of people. Mm-hmm. So beyond that, we have Monday night meetings that we get together on Monday nights about 7 o'clock. We meet at a room that Higher Vision Church has offered to let us use. So we got a beautiful room that we meet in. We have over 100 people on our roster. So we got quite a big group of men and women that connect with us.
That's a lot.
It's pretty neat. It let me know that the need is really out there.
Yes.
We continue to grow. I would say almost every week we have somebody new. that comes to the group. Some stay,
That's terrific.
some go.
Yeah.
But and we also look for other places to find our population of people. And I was sharing with you a little earlier something I'm really excited about that happened since the last time I saw you was we started a Guardians in Oakmont Assisted Living. And
That's incredible.
yeah, we are making a difference
really
wherever
is.
we can find it. And one of the guys that was a member of our group, Fred Geeson, and I mentioned him because it was his dream. He lived in Oakmont Assisted Living. It was his dream to see a Guardians come to his assisted living, Oakmont Assisted Living, because he knew there were others in that building that had no way to go to our Monday night meetings.
Right.
And that was his dream. And so a couple of our guys, Steve Cunningham, who's a retired officer, LAPD officer, partnered with Fred, and they created Guardians of Oakmont. And so every other week they do meetings there. They've had barbecues there with them.
Oh, wow.
And these men and women that have been isolated, left, in many cases don't have family that come to visit them.
Right.
When they find that they can connect with their peers, fire police, other fire police and military, smiles, they light up. It's a game changer.
I can imagine. I can imagine because they have someone who's been there and done that they can communicate with.
Yes. Yes.
And that's so important.
The
It
smiles
really
happen
is.
as soon as they walk through that door.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can well imagine.
And we do have a lot of banter. You know, banter goes on amongst us. You got the police picking on the firefighters, and we know all police officers want to be firefighters. But we'll have this banter that goes back, and the Army guys are, getting on the Marines and the back and forth. And it's what we have used to. It's what we love. It's what makes us a family. And I think that's an important part of why the strength of the relationships in Guardians are so strong. We also have, I think since last I talked to you, I don't remember if we had started it yet, but we have a Guardians in the San Fernando Valley now. And it's operating out of VFW Post 2323. John O'Sullivan, which was one of our guys out here, was one of the guys that helped run the VFW Post in Granada Hills in the San Fernando Valley, and said he'd like to start a Guardians. And so for the last about year, we have had a Guardians San Fernando Valley so we can reach even more people.
I think you mentioned that it was just starting
It might have been. Yeah, that would be about right.
when I last saw you.
I think you're right.
I think that's what it was.
And
Because
it's doing
it
really
sounds
well.
familiar, what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's doing really well there. It's really been neat to watch how these opportunities open up for us to where we can provide support wherever we can find it, where our people are. And we know that these assisted livings, and most of them out here, when I was looking to find a place for my mother-in-law, have these honor walls that honor those veterans
Yes.
that are living there.
Yes.
And that was something that kind of brought to our attention. Oh my gosh, there's some of our people in these assisted livings that have no connection, support with their peers. How can we make a difference? And that's what we did, is we decided to make a difference.
Yes.
Really thankful to Fred Geeson for his vision, his dream. He passed away about 3 days after he attended his first Oakmont Guardians meeting, when his dream came true. He ended up passing away, but he got to see it fulfilled, which was really special to us.
That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So what's on the docket now? Do
Well,
you have anything going on?
We do. We've got our big 9/11 event coming up. 9/11 on September 6th.
Let me
It's
see.
Saturday, September 6th. We are putting on our 5th annual 9/11 Patriot Day event. And it's a car show, breakfast, free breakfast, and we have a ceremony of remembrance and reflection. And really that's the key part of that morning, is to provide an opportunity for us in this community, the community of Santa Clarita, we all promised we would never forget. And so it's an opportunity for us here to acknowledge that and to provide a really powerful ceremony. It can be very touching, the ceremony that we put on. We have bagpipes, color guards. We have somebody that sings the national anthem, Terrell Edwards, who you know.
Oh, yes, bless his heart. Oh,
We'll be
yes.
singing our national anthem again. And this year, too, we are also going to have the Condor Squadron
I
do a
see that
flyover.
here. I was just going to
Yeah,
mention
that's gonna
that.
be
That
cool.
is fantastic.
That's going to be cool.
Oh, my goodness.
And we made it real easy for sponsors and owners of vehicles that like to participate in our event to go to our website at guardiansscv.org, click on the 9/11 tab, and they can register their vehicle. They can become a sponsor. We've already got a couple sponsors already that we're really excited about, and show their support for the men and women of fire, police, and military.
What is the website again?
It's Guardians, SCV.
Guardians.
Guardians with an S and then SCV.org.
SCV.org.
And there's a 9/11 tab at the top of that page that'll take you to where all the information is about this amazing event. And they can click on the links there to get a copy of our flyer, to register a vehicle, to become a sponsor for our event. And all vehicles are welcome. Any kind of crazy vehicles, fire vehicles, law, military, we'll have all of those there. And we've got Trevor Larkin is bringing his big old dragster this year. And he brought a smaller one last year, but he's bringing the big one this year. And people get a chance. I think you can go in it and actually sit and get some pictures taken. He brings out a reaction tree where you can sit there and see if you can respond to the red, yellow, green light as quick as those drivers of those drag cars do.
Oh,
and
wow.
We've got some surprises, so it should be a great day. We've got some custom trophies we'll be awarding to some of those vehicles. The vehicle registration this year, so they can RSVP a spot, is $20 online, and it gets them a reserve spot, 2 opportunity drawing tickets, the free breakfast, and a chance to win one of our custom trophies. So it should be really a great day of remembrance and reflection.
And this will be held
September 6th in the LA Police Gear and Higher Vision Church parking lot off the Old Road at 28776 the Old Road in Valencia. And it'll start at 8 a.m. in the morning and go till noon. The ceremony will begin at 8:30. So we'd love everybody to be there for that. We're going to have some special guests again this year. We've had some really wonderful speakers, and we will have that again this year to remember and reflect on that.
Okay,
that day.
I have a friend who has a beautiful car. Maybe he might be interested in this.
Oh, we would love that. We would
Okay,
love beautiful
that's
cars
good.
and ugly cars, too, if you have one.
Well, I have a 1988 Lincoln Mark 7.
Oh, there you go.
There aren't many of those around.
No, there isn't. I think we even had a Pinto last year. Those are scary cars. But we have some pretty neat vehicles that show up from exotics to custom cars, to old cars, to crazy cars that look like how they even made it to the event cars. It's really a great day. Something we're doing special this year is we're having a kids corner. So we are making a place where the young people, the kids, can have a place to have. There'll be some booths there specifically for them, where they can do some really cool stuff. So bring the whole family out when you come out to this event, because it'll be a great opportunity for the whole family to participate in remembering and reflecting on 9/11, but also in seeing some amazing cars and just enjoying the day with a really wonderful breakfast. We provide a top-notch breakfast every year.
This is terrific. Absolutely terrific. Remembering 9/11. Patriot Day. Good heavens. That sounds like it's going to be fun.
And it is. It is a great day. And we really encourage everybody in the community to come out. Like I said, the sponsorships, we'd love to have some of our local businesses. We've already got a few car dealerships that have been really faithful in supporting us, and would love to have some of our local businesses as well as jump on board, check out our sponsorship packets that are on our website, and get involved and support what we do. We're going to have some veteran law and fire-owned businesses that will be setting up their pop-ups there too, along with some other businesses who are coming out to set up. So we'll have vendor tents. I think we should have every branch of the military should be there and be setting up their own a pop-up in place. So there will be opportunity to talk with our Marines and Army and Navy and Air Force men and women, and it should really be quite a day.
That's wonderful, and that's the website is guardiansscv.org.
That's correct, and it's going to be Saturday, September 6th at 28776 The Old Road in Valencia from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And get there early, get that breakfast. Breakfast will start being served at 8 a.m., and the breakfast is free. Donations are accepted, but we'll have our booth set up there. We've got some great shirts, merchandise, stuff that supports Guardians, but also gives you a chance to wear some pretty cool shirts around the neighborhood and supporting the men and women of fire, police, military, and law
And
enforcement.
of course, all the Guardian members will be wearing their shirts.
You bet. We always wear them. And if you see us,
your hats.
yes, this is a Guardians Guardians hats. These will be available along with a black version of this hat at our event on 9/11. And it's one of my favorite hats to wear. And I can't tell you how often when I wear a shirt, Guardian shirt, or I wear one of the hats, that somebody will come up and ask me a question.
Yeah.
And it opens up the opportunity for me to go, are you a veteran, military, law enforcement, or firefighter? And a majority of the time, yes. And I get to share with them about Guardians, the passion that I have and many of us have in Guardians for providing this kind of support for these amazing men and women.
Wow. That's incredible, isn't it? Whoa. Remembering 9/11. Patriot Day. Okay. This is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Wow.
Hopefully you make it.
Well,
try our breakfast out.
Yeah, I'm going to try and make it.
Andrew, have you had our breakfast?
I have not yet, but I've seen the videos that we have here because KHGS is part of the sponsorship there. So we were out there. We did the music a couple of times at the events out there. So I didn't get the breakfast. I was kind of working the event, but I did see all the cars out there. So it's going to be a great event. Do get there early.
Yes.
Just so you can get a spot and get a chance to see all the cars out there because there are a lot. And since then, it's been a couple of years since I've gone, but it's just grown.
It has.
Just as the organization itself has grown, so has this 9/11 event.
Yeah, it has really grown, and we are so ever grateful for KHTS and their partnership. It's really helped us get the word out in the community. It's been wonderful, all the support that we have had here from KHTS, Barbara in the senior hour, and being able to come on here and share
I think
what
it's
we're
wonderful.
passionate about has been really great.
It's wonderful because you're giving a lot of information out.
And that's part of what we do. It's education.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, because there's a lot of people in our community that they hear about these deaths and suicides, and they see their fire and law enforcement men and women in the community as they respond to different things, but they don't really know them to the level that we get to know them in a group like we do. And we're looking at some future plans. I don't want to share them all right now, but where we're going to probably have an opportunity for our community to really get to know these men and women. And so I'll put a little tease in there about that maybe the next time you and I are sitting here, we'll be talking about something else that will be really powerful, we think, in our community for acknowledging the stories behind some of these amazing men and women where you'll get to hear them share.
Now, do you have an average age in your
I would
groups?
say the majority of our men and women are over the age of 55. I would say we have quite a few that are younger, maybe in their 40s, 30s we've had. But for a lot of the younger population, when they're on the fire, law, military, they think they're indestructible. They feel like, I don't need that. I'm good, right? I'm a young dude. I've got this. And then down the road, as they start to get the experience and they're involved in their jobs for a season of time, things happen. You see and experience things over and over again, and it can be really traumatic on you as a person, on your relationships, and it's great that they can have a place if they need it.
That's right.
Where they can connect.
That's terrific. Well, Tim Traurig, Guardians, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Barbara.
It was really, really interesting, and time just flies when you're having fun.
It sure does. It really does.
Thanks again, Tim.
And
appreciate
thank you, Barbara.
it.
I appreciate
Okie
you.
doke. I'm Barbara Cochran, host on your Senior Hour, KHTS 9 FM 98.1, AM 1220, your hometown station.com. Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran, host of your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS. And our guest now is Adam Laraway from Focus Physical Therapy. And focus is a very important word, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Hi, how are you, Barbara?
I'm doing good.
Thanks
doing
for having
good.
me.
Yes, I'm glad you're here because I have already set up an appointment to come in and see you again.
Okay, we'll
My
get you.
neuropathy is beginning to bother me now.
We're gonna get it
So
back
gonna
on track.
Get it back on track. Absolutely and puzzolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been a while since we've seen you, so it lasted for
Yes.
a pretty long time.
It has.
Yeah, so that's
It
good.
really has.
Yep.
So,
We were talking at the break too. That I think since I saw you last, we have actually published. NewFit has published a study on peripheral neuropathy and the effectiveness of the Neubie, which is amazing because there hasn't been this significant of a finding for peripheral neuropathy, which is a really common problem with not the best treatment options.
that's true.
To get really scientific with the study, but it showed. So when you have peripheral neuropathy, they do a test called a nerve conduction velocity test, where they put little needles in your nerve and they send an electrical impulse from one needle to the other, and we know how fast it should get from point A to point B. And if you have what's called latency, that means the nerve is not conducting correctly, and that's how the peripheral neuropathy and those symptoms start to occur. And the Neubie, when they did this test with the foot bath that we use for treatment, they actually showed improvement, which most treatments don't show the improvement that the Neubie did for that peripheral neuropathy, which is really, really exciting. And it showed it in only 12 sessions. That was the length of the experiment or the study. So that was really, really cool. And then another thing that they showed was what's called axonal regeneration. So they actually showed that the nerves were regrowing that were damaged that caused the peripheral neuropathy. So that was really, really cool to see that study and get it. And they're in the process. Actually, I think it is actually published now. So exciting stuff, because there's not a lot of good treatments. There's a lot of good, like, Band-Aids, if you will, where it helps the symptoms, but it doesn't get rid of them.
No, absolutely. But going through what I went through with you,
Yeah.
it completely disappeared.
Yeah. It was really cool, right?
Oh, it was wonderful, and it's so relaxing
Yeah. Yeah.
to be in the be in your office or your
The
whatever.
office, yep.
It
Yeah,
is
office,
an
yep.
office,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For what, an hour?
Yep, you were about in there for about an hour, and we did multiple different treatments. The foot bath was one of the treatments
Yes.
that we used. We also used another one called the Master Reset, which we've talked about on the show
Yes.
before. And we have kind of some exciting news. Last week, we actually opened up to people for treatment just doing Master Reset on their own. So they don't necessarily have to have a physical therapy prescription or be under our care of physical therapy to try that. So I'm excited. We had 3 resets last week of people that came in that were not patients that wanted to try it out and had good results. So that was nice. So what we've done is so most treatments that we do, or I should say all the treatments we've done up to this point, you're under a physical therapist care. So, you don't necessarily have to have a prescription depending on your insurance. But we're offering this under what they call wellness, which we can do, which is pretty cool. And so you can come in and you can do the Master Reset, and we do it for 30 minutes. And just kind of an a la carte treatment. We have a little 1-page document that we have you fill out just to do a real quick medical screen. The only thing you can't really do with using electricity is if you've got a cardiac pacemaker, and then there's some precautionary stuff if you've got any type of cancer or anything like that going on. So we just kind of do a real quick screen to make sure if we've got any of that stuff, either obviously with the pacemaker, we can't do it all. But if we've got cancer, we can always contact your oncologist and find out if what their recommendation is, whether or not we do treatment. And we've had actually some really cool success stories with some patients that were going through some cancer treatment, and the doctor, this oncologist, allowed the treatment, and it actually really helped with some of the pain and the chemotherapy side effects and stuff like that. So we do that kind of on a case-by-case basis. But yeah, I'm super excited because, you know, for years I've been treating with the Neubie, and I've had questions from patients. They're done with their treatment. They don't really have their pains anymore, but they're like, I'd like to just come in for a master reset, you know, maybe once every couple of weeks, just to reset my nervous system and help my sleep and do that type of stuff. And so we're now offering that as a a la carte service, which is pretty cool.
Oh, well, maybe I'll sign on to that when I get through with my treatment
Right,
sessions.
there you go. There you go. Absolutely, for
That
sure.
sounds like fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
The more the merrier.
Right, yeah. So I'm excited we're going to offer that. We're also offering HRV screenings for a fee. So HRV stands for heart rate variability. I think we talked a little bit last month about that. But we can what we do is we run an EKG of your heart, and then we have a computer algorithm that gives us a lot of information on what your nervous system's doing, what it's balanced at. Are you in a sympathetic state, that fight or flight state? Are you in a parasympathetic state, more that rest, recovery, digest? And if there's not a good balance there, the master reset can help balance that out. For people that come in, say, that want to do the wellness aspect of it, they can do that HRV test first. We can get kind of a baseline reading, and then we can retest that from different points to see how the reset is actually affecting them. A side note of that, we're actually Neufit, which is the company that developed the Neubie, the piece of equipment that we use. We were in discussion of actually setting up a research study to do that, to really kind of solidify what we say is happening is actually happening. Yeah. It got a little bit sidetracked because the research neurologist that at Neufit resigned a couple weeks ago, and so I think they're looking for the replacement before we actually start the study. But I'm super excited. We're going to be one of the participating clinics in the nation that is going to be studying the master reset, which is pretty cool.
Wow, that is fantastic.
Yeah, it's super exciting.
Oh, wow.
So we had actually, before her name was Ramona left Neufit, we had a Zoom call with all the practitioners throughout the nation that were going to be involved in this study, and we were one of the clinics that they selected. And so what the protocol for it is we are going to do an HRV study first, and then you do a reset on the Neubie, and then we retest the HRV, and we're going to do that for 8 sessions over a 4-week period, so twice a week. So at some point, once we get ready to start that study, we'll be looking for subjects who want to be in that study, and we'll do that at probably a reduced rate to get into the study. So pretty cool stuff.
Oh, things are moving along. That must be so exciting for your company.
It is. It's very exciting.
Employees.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Yeah, we're doing really well now. You know, finally we've been kind of struggling with getting staff because I had two therapists move to Texas in the last 2.5 years. So we've been looking for their replacements, but we're now fully staffed. And so kind of getting back to focusing on some of that more exciting stuff, because before we were just trying to help as many people as possible. But, when you're...
So who do you have there that I know? You have a gentleman there, a young man there.
Yep. So we have Sam Beltran. He's a PT.
He's still there?
He's still there. And then we have Tiana Garcia. She's also a PT. She's been with me for almost 3 years. Yeah. And then we have a new therapist. His name is Nick Abrams. Really excited about him coming on board. Really, really sharp with his diagnostic skills and treatment skills. He's actually been with us since February, and so he's learned the Neubie and already jumped on board, and he's loving some of the success stories that he's experienced with the Neubie too.
Oh,
so
that's terrific.
It's been a lot of fun. It was kind of cool. This week we had a student physical therapist that they'll be with us for the next 8 weeks. So they've been here. Today's their third day, but they're already seeing some of the exciting success stories and stuff like that. So she was telling me last night how she's already super excited and to get in and be able to do some of the treatments herself.
And she's finishing school then.
Yeah, she's a second year PT student at Azusa Pacific University. So for all the physical therapy programs when you're in school, you have the classroom work for the first year. She's in her second year, so there's part classroom work, and now she's done with the classroom work for the year, and then she's got an 8-week clinical with us. So she's here treating with
on-the-job training.
On-the-job training, exactly.
Wow.
So, and she's been very excited because what she's been learning in the classroom, she's now seeing in the clinic. So
in person
and to actually see some of the stuff she's learned about, see it in person, she's been very, very excited.
Wow, that is exciting because that thing. I really did learn about that.
Right.
Now I'm seeing it in progress.
Absolutely.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
It really is.
For sure. So that's definitely keeping us busy. We tend to have 1 or 2 students a year, and they range from anywhere from like a 6-week clinical up to 3 months. So it's a lot of fun and having them, and it keeps us kind of on top of our game because not only are we having to treat the patients, we're also having to teach the student.
Absolutely.
So you got to be on your game with what you're
Yes.
doing and what and they're asking questions, and then that can spur patients
And
to ask
those
questions.
employees of yours need to know their business.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. It's one of those things though for me. I mean, I've been out, 25 years now, but I use it every day. So I mean, there's certain things every once in a while I have to go look up, but for the most part, because I use all the nerves and the muscles and the bones and the joints, and so like all of that stuff is just always right on the top of my head because I'm using it every day.
You're involved.
Exactly.
From the bottom up.
Yep,
Or
exactly.
from the top down, whichever.
Yeah.
Or from side to side.
The whole bit.
The whole thing. The whole shooting match.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow, that's terrific. That is terrific.
Yeah. So I'm super excited, with being able to offer the Master Reset, and really, maybe we should kind of back up and talk a little bit about what the Master Reset is. But the Master Reset is a treatment technique that we use to stimulate what's called the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is one of your cranial nerves that basically regulates your autonomic nervous system, which has those 2 parts, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. And we always kind of group those together. Your sympathetic system is your fight or flight system. So say you step out, onto the sidewalk, walking out of KHTS here, and you almost get hit by a bus. Your sympathetic system is going to kick in because you're like, get me the heck out of here. I don't want to get killed.
Oh, no.
And that's totally appropriate. That's what should happen.
Yes.
And when your sympathetic system kicks in, your body's releasing adrenaline and cortisol and all these different hormones to mobilize you and get you the heck. Either you're going to put up a fight or you're going to get the heck out of here. But then once that stressor is gone, your system should go into the parasympathetic, which we kind of group that one as the rest, recovery, digest. And so once you've had a stressor, your system actually should switch modes and go into that parasympathetic to recover. And when you're in pain, you often don't go into that parasympathetic, or you don't get there long enough for your body to heal those tissues. And so what's so cool about the Master Reset is we can artificially stimulate the vagus nerve, which controls that balance of that system, and we can stimulate the parasympathetic. And going back to the heart rate variability test that we do, when we do an HRV test, and then we do a Master Reset, and then we retest that HRV after the reset, you can see an increase in the parasympathetic activity on that from your EKG. So we know it's doing what it says it's doing. We're just going to solidify that even more with this study that we're trying to do. But really cool stuff.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. It must be exciting for your employees to work there.
I think it is, for sure. They really enjoy what they're doing. They see the difference, which, I mean...
They see results.
They see the results, absolutely.
And that is so important.
It sure is.
When you're working a job, any kind of job,
Yeah.
really, to see results.
Yep.
And to see that what you've been involved in is making a difference and making the matter to somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is so important.
Well,
it really is.
That's why I picked the name Focus.
Focus.
Focus Physical Therapy.
Focus Physical Therapy. It
You know?
says it all.
Yep. When I
It
started
says it all.
the clinic 6 years ago, I was really trying to come up with the name for my clinic, and Focus is what kept sticking in my mind, because the reason I left my old clinic is that the patient care was no longer really focused on the patient. We were part of a big corporation, unfortunately,
there,
and
get
them,
out.
get them in, get them out.
That's-
If they get better, great. If they don't, and that's not
Yeah.
what we like to do in physical therapy. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of physical therapy people have had experience with physical therapy clinics is, they're not seeing the therapist, they're seeing an aide, which they really shouldn't be doing, and they don't get better. And so you talk to people, and it's frustrating. I hear it all the time when I do an evaluation with a patient, and I ask them about, have they had therapy before? And yeah, and they tell me it didn't help. And I'll kind of ask them what, was done, and a lot of times it's not the right stuff. And that's frustrating, because if they would do the proper, what we've trained them to do in the school, you'll figure it out, and they can do the right stuff. But the Neubie just helps even dial that in even more, which is great.
It's interesting because that's how I first got involved with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were a guest on the show.
Right?
And I remember having gone through this horrible cancer again
Yep.
4 years ago. Jiminy Christmas. I'm getting older. Not old,
Yeah.
just
Not old.
older.
That's right.
But that's really interesting.
For sure.
Yeah, it really is. Now that I look back on it, that's why I came to you, because I was having physical therapy therapists come to the home because I couldn't get out,
Right.
and it wasn't working.
Yep.
Nothing was happening.
Yeah.
And when I came here on the show and you came in, whoa, the lights came on. And I'm so glad they did.
Absolutely.
And I think we need to take a break, don't we? Yes, I'm Barbara Cochran on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran, your host on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. And we're speaking with Adam Laraway from Focus Physical Therapy. Focus.
Yep.
That
Focused-
includes everything.
That's right. Focused on the patient, for sure.
Absolutely.
Well,
Okay.
And before the break, we were talking about how, when you first came to us that, the therapy wasn't working. And I remember you were walking with a walker, and it
Oh,
was pretty
yeah.
challenging. And, as we went through your treatment, we were able to get some of that peripheral neuropathy symptoms better so that your feet could sense the ground and kind of where you were. And look at you now, you're not walking with anything.
No,
Pretty-
I've given up. The only time I use my walker is in the house when I got to go potty.
Yeah. Just because you
Well,
got to go more speed.
Yes, that's right. I mean, I can whiz around.
Right, yeah.
But otherwise, I've given up the walker.
Yeah.
I've given up my 2 walking sticks.
Yeah.
And I always used 2.
Yep.
It amazes me how some people get around using one stick.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I guess it kind of depends on which you're using. Like the walking sticks, I understand kind of what you're saying. You like to have kind of that reciprocal motion and one on each side. For some,
it levels you out.
yeah, for somebody who's using, that transitions from say like a walker to like a single point cane, it makes sense to just use the one single point cane, because the idea behind that is so obviously when we walk without anything, the only input we're getting is from our feet, because we aren't, unless you're wall walking, which we've talked about in the past.
No.
We don't talk about that. But, so you only get the input from your feet. But if you've got peripheral neuropathy or your balance is not the greatest, having a single point cane gives you a third point of reference. Now, obviously, using 2 walking sticks or 2 canes gives you 4 points of reference, so it is more stability.
Well, I had more stability.
For sure.
I felt much more comfortable walking.
Yeah. It would be a little odd to, I think, use just a walking stick on one side, where the cane makes a little more sense because your hand position and arm position are a little bit different.
Yeah.
But when we train somebody to walk with a cane, most of the time people think, oh, well, my right knee is the problem, or my right hip, or whatever. I need the cane on my right side because the problem's on my right side. But that's actually incorrect. You should have it on the opposite side.
Opposite side.
And the reason for that is that, when you walk and you take a step with that cane, you want to create a tripod, because a tripod position is really, really stable. If you have, you step with your right leg in that cane, it's only a few inches away, and so you have a very narrow base of support, and it's actually not really helping you. It's actually probably making it worse. So that's one of the things that's kind of interesting, when you're working with patients, is to get them to do it the opposite side. Once you explain it to them and they feel the difference, they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense. Absolutely.
But I understand, like with a walking stick, it would be a little bit odd because you're in a different position, your arm's up a little bit higher, you're using it in a little different function.
I use two.
You're right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think with the
Yeah.
walking stick, and you get that alternating reciprocal swing, it makes a little more sense with the walking sticks to utilize two. It would be a little strange to try and just use the one in that position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because I see so many people walking on walkers, shoulders down.
Yep.
And what they're doing to their muscles and their spine, that's catastrophic.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's tough, and the design with walkers is not the greatest, because there are some new ones on the market trying to get people more upright. They are more of what they call a platform walker, but they're cumbersome, and they don't fold up the best to get into a car and that type of stuff. So it's kind of this catch-22 of
I pulled my handles
Yep.
up high
Yeah.
so that I was standing straight.
Yep. But even
Because I didn't want to do this.
exactly.
Because that's really detrimental.
Right, yeah, because then you got gravity pulling you down all day long.
Absolutely, and it pulls hard.
It never gives up. Yeah.
As you know when you fall.
Yep. Unless you go to space, it's not giving up.
That's true. Oh my goodness.
So, but it is important for sure. You need that upright posture, because you see a lot of elderly and they're really hunched forward, and once that
it's
progression
terrible.
starts, it's hard to correct that. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've even, in seeing women walk on walkers, I've even stopped them.
Yeah.
Not even knowing who they are.
Yep.
And suggesting that they pull the handlebars up so they can stand up straighter.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I've gotten a thank you, and sometimes I go, this is my body.
Mind your own business.
Well, it's been fun having you here again.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure.
Yes. Adam Laraway from Focus Physical Therapy. You've been listening to The Senior Hour on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. We're sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care and Providence Holy Cross Medical Center. Now go and enhance your quality of life.